We'll go ahead and get started. Those of you guys don't know me, which probably is most of you guys, my name is Jeremy Miller. I was on staff at Foothills for 20 years. I came on as a youth intern back in 1999. Then did the youth intern thing for a number of years. Like you guys know, probably have youth interns. You just do everything and work real hard. And then I became the site director of a ministry that we have, I'll tell you guys a little more about, called Youth Venture. And I was the director of the Youth Venture Teen Center in Lakeside. Did that for a number of years and then became the director of operation over the entire Youth Venture program here in San Diego. Still ran the Teen Center in Lakeside, but oversaw the whole operations and did that for 10 years until 2020 when I stopped working at Foothills Church. And you guys are thinking that was a great time for a career transition right at the beginning of COVID. And, at the beginning of 2020, we had no idea what COVID was going to become. And I think it was a shock for all of us. And so that made it a challenging season for me, transitioning. But then at the end of 2021, we launched a new ministry called Visit Ministries. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here, so let me take a step back. For those of you guys that don't know, Youth Venture, how many of you guys know what the Youth Venture Teen Centers are? Okay, a few of you guys. For those of you guys that don't know, Youth Venture are teen centers that we operate in the community here in San Diego. They're open every day of the week, completely for free for kids in the neighborhood to come in. It gives them a safe place to go after school, have fun, get tutored, and primarily we have a mentoring program we connect the kids with. So these centers are located in the neighborhoods, near the kids' homes, near their schools. They're full of video games, arcade games, pool table, ping pong, snacks, food, all kinds of stuff kids like. And through that, we're able to reach kids, lost young people in the community, see them saved, discipled, and see their lives transform. And so let me think of what I'm saying here. I've got to get my speaking wheels going here. They're open every day completely for free. Did I say that? For the kids in the neighborhood. And through that, we build mentoring relationships. And so I did that, for 20 years. I was involved in the Youth Venture program, running that center, then running the whole program for 10 years. And during those years, I got to witness, firsthand, time and time again, the transformative impact that those teen centers have in the lives of young people. We have, I should have brought a copy. If you guys visit our booth there in the lobby, I have these books, Kids Like Us. We'll give you one for free if you want. And they're testimonies of just a few of the kids who have come through our centers. And the stories are incredible. They'll light you up, right? If you care about young people getting saved, read these stories, man, and it'll just thrill you and energize you. And I just saw so many stories of lives being transformed, with kids who are so hurt, so broken, so lost, and their lives would be transformed as they became a part of these teen centers. And I realized at some point, man, we really got something special here. We have something that really unique, that uniquely works at reaching lost young people. And God began to, over those years, slowly grow a burden in my heart. Not just to see us do it at Foothills, but to help churches all across San Diego, all across our country, see the same kind of impact that we were having. I began to realize that in every community, in every neighborhood, there are lost, hurting young people that need Jesus, right? And then there's churches who have a deep burden to reach those young people, and they're looking for something that works. They're looking for something that can help them to reach out beyond the walls of their church, get into the neighborhoods, and reach those young people. And I began to think, this might be something that works for them. This might be something that churches could do. And so, like I said, in 2020, I stopped working at Foothills. And at the end of 2021, I launched Visit Ministries. So it's a new nonprofit. We're pretty new, about a year and a half into this. And our mission is to help churches reach the young people of their communities by training and equipping them to plant their own teen center and engage in one-on-one mentoring. And so that's what I've been doing for the last year and a half, and it's been amazing. We're connecting with churches all over the country, seeing churches really get excited about this opportunity, about this way of reaching young people. We're seeing teen centers launch here in San Diego and from Washington all the way to Florida. And every day I get to connect with new churches, meet people, share the story with them, and see the vision spread. It's amazing. I was just having a conversation with my man, James Wiley here. It's such a heart for reaching young people, and we're just dreaming, strategizing how we can see a teen center launch down in South San Diego. So we're going to see that happen, man. I'm excited. So I'm going to be mindful of the time here. I don't know how long this is going to be, but I'll try to get you out on time. You guys are like, oh, no. Today I want to share 2 challenges that I believe God would give the church today about reaching young people. Real simple, 2 challenges I think God would challenge every church with. And along the way, I'll share a little more about Visit and what we do. Disclaimer, I always feel like I have to say this when I'm talking with people. I don't want to be a salesman for teen centers. I never want someone to feel like I am trying to convince them to launch a teen center. Like, this is the thing, the latest, greatest. But, for the low price of $9.99, you can have a teen center, I never want to feel like that. I never want people to feel like that. The truth is, I don't believe that teen centers are the answer for all the problems among youth, because I don't believe there is an answer for all the problems among our young people. Now, what I mean by that is I don't believe that there is one single answer. Like, here is the answer to all of our problems, the thing that's going to revolutionize your life and your youth ministry and change the world, right? What I want to do with you and with the people I talk with, I connect with, is I want to just explore a question. I think God is taking us somewhere new with youth outreach, or maybe taking us somewhere old, bringing us back to somewhere we've lost. But I think things are changing. I think we can see that in our culture. We can see that in youth culture. We can see that in our churches, that things are changing, and we need to find the heart of the Lord for us. So I think that my role is just to help find answers, to help us maybe ask the right questions about what we're doing and why we're doing what we're doing. What I've seen is that young people are suffering. I think maybe more than ever. Now, I've only been around 42 years, so that doesn't cover the whole history of young people in our nation, but it is maybe worse than it's ever been before. I don't think we need all the stats. You guys have probably heard them time and time again: anxiety, depression, suicide, the lostness, the Christian worldview, the church attendance, all these things. But man, it's disheartening. It's discouraging. The challenges they face are definitely worse than I've ever seen. I would not want to be a young person today. Whether it's social media and the impact. I don't know if you guys are really keeping up with the impact of social media on young people, but it's absolutely awful. It's destroying a generation. It might be one of the worst things that's ever come into our culture, social media. There's a guy, Jonathan Haidt, H-A-I-D-T, and he's not a Christian. He's just a secular scientist, researcher that's studying, but really focusing on studying the impact of social media on young people. So if you connect with his work, you'll learn something. Social media, gender confusion, sexuality issues, the whole transgender movement that, man, has just, exploded in the last couple of years. On top of that, the fear that they live with every day, whether it's war or social concerns or climate change. Right? Like, these kids are taught, to be scared of everything. Be scared of old people. Be scared of people that are different than you. Be scared of the, volcanoes killing us or whatever it is, right? And all of this while being taught there's no God, no purpose, no design, and no help. Except maybe the government, government programs maybe. And so we have a generation of young people that are scared, confused, lawless, purposeless, perverse, and godless. But on the other side are churches that have a deep burden to reach these young people. And if they're honest with themselves, many churches, if they really step back and take inventory, they're realizing that their efforts aren't working. they're working hard, right? They're working hard to get them into their church. They're working hard to get them saved and discipled. They're struggling and grinding, and they're not seeing much fruit. I think it's getting more and more difficult to reach young people. And I want to ask you guys a question. Am I right? Are you guys seeing the same thing? Because if you're not, then we could just end right now and go home. You guys are like, no, I don't know what you're talking about, Jeremy. Everything's great. This is wonderful. What do you guys seeing the same kind of issues? Does it seem like it's just a challenge? All right, well, then we're on the same page. For me, I feel a sense of urgency about the moment we're in. And I don't want to be like alarmist, right? But I feel like when I look around and see what they have to deal with, man, it just seems so urgent. Like we need to reach them now. I think the fallout from what the world is pushing on them today in 10 years, the fallout from all this is going to be intense. I mean, think about, gosh, I don't want to get too extreme, but I can't help myself. Think about the young people that are having gender reassignment surgeries, that are literally getting body parts removed and fake, sexual organs, taking skin and muscles off their arms and, all the hormones and all the damage that's being done to their body. I mean, think about what they're going to have to deal with in 10 years, right? I mean, it's going to be like incredible. And so I feel like we need to reach young people now because it's getting serious. And again, I don't want to be alarmist. I don't want to be like, but I think we should all feel a sense of urgency. Like, man, we need to figure this out. We need to reach young people, the young people in our community. We can do whatever it takes now to get a hold of them. So with all that in mind, with the time we have left, I want to share 2 challenges. I think these are 2 challenges that will hopefully encourage you, hopefully help you to think differently about what we're doing to reach young people and how we're doing it. And I think these are 2 challenges that God would challenge us with today. The first is visit the orphans. This comes from James 1:27, and in this you'll learn how we got our name, Visit Ministries. It's from this verse, James 1:27. You guys probably know it. Pure and undefiled religion in the sight of our God and Father is this, to visit the orphans and widows in their distress and to keep oneself unstained by the world. Now we hear plenty of messages about keeping yourself unstained by the world, right? But how often do we hear messages about visiting the orphans and widows? But God says that this is the kind of religion that pleases Him. If we want to please God, if we want to do something that pleases Him, He says, this is it. Visit the orphans and the widows. So who are the orphans? Well, the orphans are the fatherless. The orphans in our culture is anyone without a godly father guiding them. And a lot of things cause fatherlessness in our culture. It could be divorce, death, abandonment, alcohol, drugs, prison. There's so many things that break down families and separate fathers from young people. These are the orphans in our time, in our communities, the fatherless. And God tells us to visit them. Well, what does that mean? Visit them. First of all, we have to realize it doesn't tell them to visit us. Now, for us, the word visit usually carries kind of a casual connotation, right? It's like, in the evening, if you're out watering your lawn, if you have a lawn, I don't have a lawn, I have dirt. It's like visiting is what you do when you chat with your neighbor, right? Like, oh, I visited with my neighbor, we kind of caught up and chatted a bit, right? But in the Bible, that's not what it means. It means so much more. It's the Greek word episkeptomai. Oh, look, I have a marker. It's like, what am I going to write? And I think I spelled that right. No guarantees. Episkeptomai. It means to look upon or after, to inspect, to examine with the eyes, to look upon in order to help or to benefit, to care for, to provide for. It's the word used in Luke 1 and in other Gospels in the story when he says, I was a stranger and you did not invite me in. I was naked and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison and you did not what? Visit me. Now, he doesn't mean at all just to stop by and say hi, right? He says, I was naked. I was a stranger. I was I was sick. I was in prison. And you need to go visit me. Why didn't you visit me? In Hebrews 2:6, it's translated as concern, saying, what is man that you think of him, or son of man that you are concerned with him? It's the same word used all throughout the New Testament when it talks about God visiting his people, a visitation from the Lord. Now, none of these at all mean just a casual stop by and say hi and chat, right? It means seeking out someone in need and providing them the care that they need. That's what God did for us. That's what God wants us to do for the orphans. And it says to visit them in their distress. So what is someone like when they're in distress? Have you ever worked with a person who's in distress? Well, it might mean that it'll be dirty. It might be dangerous. It's definitely not going to be clean and safe and circumscribed. It doesn't mean to wait until things have calmed down, till it's a little bit cleaner, a little bit safer, and then go visit them. No, it says visit them in their distress. The young people of our communities are in distress. They're desperate. I remember a young guy I knew named Michael, and I met him when he was like a 5th grade kid. I was working with the young people in Lakeside. I had kids that I mentored. I'd pick them up from their apartments, and they came to our teen center, and I was work with them. And one day I was in, I'm getting the story a little mixed up here, but I was in the apartments, and I met this kid, Michael. You know, he was a little 5th grade kid, and said hi and met him, and that was it. And then a week later or so, I get a call from his mom. His mom's never met me. Doesn't know who I am at all, but she's heard about me from Michael's friends. And she says, can you come pick up my kid and mentor him, please? Because he doesn't have a dad, and just everything's, he really needs some help. She was so desperate. She didn't even, she was like, please come over and just pick him up and take him out, right? So that's what I did. I drove to his house. Hi, my name is Jeremy, and get in my car. Let's go hang out. I'm not saying that's a good idea, but that's what I did. Sometimes that's what it takes, right? Remember the part where I said dangerous, not safe, right? And I just got to know this kid. And I remember the first time driving him around, just learning about him. We went to get a burger with him, right? And I said, hey, how's it going, man? I'm Jeremy. Like, tell me about yourself. And told me that he never met his dad. His parents are divorced. His dad was gone. And I remember, I'm going to cry at some point in this. I can't help it. It's just going to happen. But, and I'm running out of time, man. I'm sorry. And he told me how his dad was gone. I was like, man, that must be really hard. And he just listened and was like, no, man, I'm over it. And I remember just thinking, no, man, you're not over it at all. And I've mentored this kid for years. He was so hurt, so broken. I remember one time I got a phone call from his mom, hysterical, just in the middle of the day, hysterical. She's like, you got to come over here. You got to come over here. Michael's freaking out. He punched a picture and shattered the glass, and now he's taking the pieces of glass and he's cutting his arm with them, and there's blood, and I just hear Michael in the background just screaming and crying. He's like the 6th grade kid. He's saying, I just want to die. He was just so broken, and his mom's hysterical. I had no idea what to do. I'm just a youth leader, and I just was like, okay, I'll get over there right now. Put Michael on the phone. Michael, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay, man. I'm coming over right now. And I remember I got hung up and called my pastor, Mark Hoffman, and was like, Mark, I don't know what to do. He's like, Jeremy, just know that on your worst day in your whole life, you will never be as confused as this kid is right now. And you can be a support and a rock to him. And I had to go over to his house, and sure enough, he was bleeding and broken glass, and I picked him up, got him in my car, took him over to Rite Aid, bought bandages, cleaned and bandaged up his wounds, got him a Frappuccino or something, and and it works, man. And just I'll just pour some Frappuccino on there, mocha chip, just talk to him, just calmed him down, just listen to him, and That's what God tells us to do. Visit them in their distress, right? Don't wait. It's easier just to wait till it's cleaner, wait till it's safer, wait till it's a little more, manageable. He says, no, don't wait. Go now. It doesn't tell them to visit us. It tells you to visit them. Go to where they are and visit them in their distress. It means to seek them out, to go to them, to meet them where they are in whatever state you find them in, and to give them the care that they need. We must leave the safety and comfort of our world and enter into the chaos and brokenness of their world. Now, we go very deep in this, but we won't for sake of time, because that's exactly what Jesus did. Some of you guys have probably already made the connection in Philippians 2, when it says he emptied himself, taking the form of a bondservant and coming in the likeness of men. He left his place of safety, security, emptied himself of his privileges and his rights, and he entered into our world, into our chaos and brokenness. And he was mistreated, right? He was abused. And he did it all for us. This is something we call incarnational ministry. The Word made flesh, the message coming in human form. This was Jesus' ministry. This was Jesus' plan. He left heaven and came to us, became like us, and this is the same ministry he leaves to us. This is his ministry. This is what he wants us to do, incarnational ministry. Leaving where we are and going to where they are, visiting the orphans in their distress. The mistake that too many churches make is we wait for young people to come to us, right? And then we require that they clean up, be quiet, sit still, act like adults so they can be welcomed in. Not you guys, the other churches. You're here at Future Quest, you get it, right? But God says, no, it's the exact opposite. I want you to go to them, visit them in their distress. So what does that mean practically? Well, it's a question that each of us needs to answer for our own communities, right? First of all, physically, where are they? Where are the young people? They're probably not at your church. There's lots of young people, and you guys have young people at your church, but those young people you want to reach, they're not coming to us knocking on our doors. They're not in our parking lot. Maybe for some of you they are, right? But usually they're out there, right? So where are they physically? Their homes, their neighborhoods, their apartment complexes, their schools. Go visit them, right? What are they into? What do they care about? That's part of leaving our world and entering into their world. There's a saying, you can't meet a person's real needs until you meet their felt needs. That's a good one. And this is especially true for young people. Young people have no clue what their real needs are, right? You ask some average young people, what's your greatest need right now in your life? What kind of answer are you going to get? Probably number one, I'm bored, You're like, oh my gosh, no, trust me, kid. You have no clue. It's not your biggest need. But, if you want them to take you seriously, then you need to take them seriously, right? You meet their felt needs. Okay, you're bored. Well, let's have fun. You're hungry. There's no hungry young person, You're hungry. Okay, let's get some food, They want friends. Meet their felt needs, and the door will open to meet their real needs. Go to them, meet them where they are. Teen centers do this well because they're usually, one, outside the walls of the church. Not always. We've seen some launch on church campuses. It's really cool. But usually, we in their neighborhoods, near their schools, we find a building, find a little place in a strip mall, where the kids are. We open it up. Then it's full of fun stuff for kids to do. I say kids come to the teen centers for the 3 F's. I already mentioned them: fun, food, and friends, right? That's what draws them in. So we make it as fun as possible. We have food. It's amazing how many of these kids aren't being fed properly at home. They're genuinely hungry, not just like I want a candy bar hungry and a soda, so we serve meals, real meals for free to the kids, and they eat it up. Literally, figuratively. So we make it a place where their felt needs can be met. What are they into? Video games. Okay, we're going to have video games, Oh, they're into skating. Okay, let's figure that out. Our first teen center right across the freeway here, back then, that community, they were into breakdancing. So what did we do? Well, not me, I wasn't around back then, but what did we do? Bought some linoleum. You guys remember back in the day? You guys breakdance? No? Okay, wrong crowd. That's what, meet them where they're at. What are they into, right? So we meet them where they are. And then they're designed in a way that allows us to connect with them, build meaningful relationships, right? All right, second one. We're supposed to be done right now. I'm going to go through this quick. Sorry, guys. Second challenge I think God would give us. First is visit the orphans. The second is raise sons and daughters. Psalm 68, 5 through 6. He says, a father of the fatherless and a judge for the widows is God in his holy habitation. God makes a home for the lonely. He leads out the prisoners into prosperity. Only the rebellious dwell in a parched land. That's part where it says a home for the lonely. In the New King James, it says he sets the solitary in families. God calls us a family, right? The family of God. He didn't create an organization or an institution. He created a family. He calls himself a father. And this verse says that he especially identifies with the fatherless. He says, I am a father to the fatherless. So how does God father us? Right? God's our father. How does he father us? Well, primarily through other people, right? You know, you want to see how God's fathering comes into your life? Look at the people who are fathers to you, right? He uses mentors, pastors. And so and he calls us a family. He uses people to father us. He says that he is a father to those fatherless. So what does that mean for us? It means that he wants us to treat them like sons and daughters. See, the mistake that churches make often is that we treat people, young people, like consumers instead of treating them like sons and daughters. We've bought into the lie of the world. The way the world treats them says that they are consumers first. So we treat them like consumers. Okay, let's, the biggest, funnest, craziest, whatever, and we think that that's going to change their lives. It won't. Those things aren't bad. Again, we make our teen centers fun and just look out the window, right? But that is not going to change them. Young people don't need professionals, programs, or preachers as much as they need mothers and fathers. We need to have a change in the way we think about the young people we try to reach. See, a lot, I want to say most, this might be, maybe it's not most, but many young people today don't have any positive, meaningful relationships with adults. Their families are broken. Their dads are gone. Gosh, I'd say most of the kids I've worked with, the dads are just gone. The moms aren't very involved often. Either they have their own problems or they're just working so hard trying to make ends meet. They're gone. Back in the day when I was young, you used to have teachers, coaches you'd connect with, and I feel like that's not really happening as much anymore. They have professional relationships, these young people. They have counselors, therapists, educators, pastors, youth workers, but they don't have someone who cares for them like a son or a daughter. And they're desperate for it. They're desperate for that relationship. They're desperate for family. That is what young people want. I mean, really deeply, more than anything else, they want family. They're just desperate for it. Mark Hoffman, my pastor, has a great quote. He says, young people live out what they learn in their family until they become a part of a new family that does things different. You could also say that they live out what they learn in the culture around them until they become a part of a new family culture that does things different. When you think of how are children raised? Those guys that have raised children, what child-raising curriculum did you use to raise your kids? How to grow up and be an adult classes, program did you send your kids to learn how to be an adult, right? No, nothing, right? Now you had support. You might have sent them to some classes and had groups and stuff, but, how does it happen? Someone that I really appreciate, they said that everything important that happened in raising their sons and daughters happened at the dinner table. What he means is that it just happened naturally. It wasn't like these planned speeches, like, guess what, today we're going to talk about, No, it was just in the natural interaction of everyday life, having a meal together, interacting, that's how the things that they wanted to impart and instill in their kids were transferred. It wasn't taught, it was imparted naturally as they did life together. This is the same way in the family of God. It's why Paul says, imitate me as I imitate Christ. It's why Jesus chose 12 that they might be with him. Because it happened naturally. It was imparted as they did life together. Something amazing happens when you enter into a young person's life and invite them to be a part of your life. You know, I've seen this happen. I've had kids live with me over the years. As a kid, I knew that his family was living in a tents at Lake Jennings, you know, in between living in motels, going from, you know, motel hopping around East County. And so at some point, it was just like, okay, he's got to live with me, you know. And I've had several kids like that live with me. I've had kids that, you know, I knew they weren't going to get a Thanksgiving dinner. They didn't have any family to have Thanksgiving dinner with. So we're like, you're going to be part of our family for Thanksgiving. You know, not to have kids over, extend our table and just, you know, make them a part of our family. I just pick kids up and take them with me to do errands. Like, hey, I got to go grocery shopping. How about you come hang out with me, right? There's people that are scared about this kind of stuff. They're like, what? You drive kids around and like, you know, I don't know about that, right? It's not safe. It's not circumscribed. It's not professional, you know, youth worker to youth, you know, relationship. It's family. It's just inviting them into your life and doing life together. Now, to an appropriate extent, in an appropriate way, following, you know, right? Being smart about it. But you do life with them. I want to say maybe all the problems we see with young people today begin and end with family. And family is more than just one relationship. It's a community, right? You don't just have one person in your family with. You have your mother, your father, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, grandmas, grandpas. And so the question that, I'd say the big question, to sum this whole thing up, the big question that I want to challenge you guys and I want all of us to really think about today is how do we build family with the lost young people in our community? That's a hard thing. It takes time. It takes intention. You know, again, it's not safe and easy. But I think that that's what God really wants us to think about and to press into. When you think about your church and the community around your church, the neighborhoods, the apartment complexes, the schools, all those lost young people, the way to reach them, what we've seen be incredibly effective for so many years now is when we can build family with those young people. But how do we do that? You know, again, I think teen centers are a great option. And I won't go into why those work at this point because we need to be done. But there could be other answers. I think maybe for each one of us it might be slightly different. But that's what young people need. That is what's going to change their life. That's what God wants to invite them into, his family. So we'll end there. Let me pray and close this up. I'll also say this. I have these cards on the back table there and also have them at my booth. If you guys want to talk more, if you guys want to just, I'd love to hear about your church, your youth groups, what you guys are doing. If you guys want to hear more about the teen centers, whether it's just getting some more information, maybe taking a tour of one of the centers, I'll treat you to lunch or coffee, give you a tour, then fill these out. Or just give me your information and we'll connect, get you some stuff, and we can talk. I'd love to pray with you and just see what God might do. We'll be around all 3 days, and also we're sponsoring the Youth Worker Lunch on the last day, so see you there. We'll have some good food. Let me pray. Jesus, thank you, Lord. Thank you that you love these young people and that your desires for their salvation, not just to bring them into a program or make them a part of a group or an institution, but you want to bring them into the family of God. And thank you that makes it easy in some ways. We don't have to be the smartest or most clever. All we have to be is real. Just have to engage them one-on-one and eye-to-eye and just love them. I pray, Lord, for each one of us, you would show us how to do that. Show us how to reach the young people in our community, how to visit them in their distress, how to treat them like sons and daughters. Pray for the next 3 days, Lord, that you would meet with these young people here. Amen. Amen. Thank you for being here, guys. Have a great rest of your day.